Today, as we continue on with our little adventure through the Lenten or slash Easter series. And today is like it's an interesting one. When I was doing research this morning, it's one of the more sobering readings. One of the ones that's more just vulnerably honest about the life of faith. And I guess I want to start out by saying this. A lot of people look at the life of faith and they look to it for happiness. So they're unhappy in their lives, so they look to the life of faith to make them happy. And that will work for a while. And clearly a life of faith is not about being unhappy, that's for sure. But it's I don't know, it's like a bill of goods too. I don't really believe the life of faith is here necessarily to give us happiness. It's here to give us meaning. It's here to give us a consistent story within which to live, a story that not only holds us where we are, including in the really hard parts of life, but likewise as well, gives us a vision and a future and a direction, where we just don't have events in our life. We actually can take those events and point them in a direction and have a sense of holding. And last night I was talking with one of our wonderful participants here, Jean Allen, and she's in our prayers this morning because she's having cancer surgery this morning, just about an hour and a half. So a lot of thoughts about her. Great conversation with her last night, and we talked and told her I was going to mention it to you folks here, and we're going to keep her in our prayers. And she's obviously a woman of deep faith, and it's just interesting how that all works, right? And it's why, again, like, I have such an allergic reaction to the prosperity gospel. That whole like live your best life now stuff. I just find it abhorrent because that will work. That kind of faith will work until it doesn't, and it will eventually stop working, and then people will lose their faith. Like it puts God in a really vulnerable position that somehow faith is based on health and wealth. It's not. It's just not. So today that's what we're going to read, and it's a pretty sobering one, and one that actually just full disclosure, it always strikes me very near to my heart because there is the surprising loneliness of faith. There clearly is a surprising loneliness of faith. Jesus had decided not to travel to Judea because some were looking for a chance to kill him. Some of the people of Jerusalem remarked, "Is this not the one they want to kill?" So it's talking there about Jesus's loneliness and how he kind of knew some people had it out for him, so he starts to distance himself, and that's really profound. One of my favorite books is a book called the Lonely Man of Faith. It's written in the 1960s by a Catholic priest, and he talks about that, how we will all go through that time. And obviously back then they're not using gender inclusive pronouns. That's why it's the word man. But the idea of the lonely man of faith, as Solojaychik would put it, is that there's kind of two tracks to faith. There's one that's, again, sort of a prosperity gospel thing. It's where faith is very utilitarian. In other words, I want this in my life, so faith will help me get this thing, and it comes down to health and wealth. And there's a very different kind of faith, and it's a faith that I think Jesus calls us to. I know that a lot of you folks are, in many ways, like models for a lot of us around this, which is a much different kind of faith, and it's a sacrificial faith. It's a faith. This is real important. It's a faith that's not based on interests. It's a faith that's based on commitments. And it's commitments to community. And I like these phrases. I was looking back on some notes. He says we create a community of commitments born in distress and defeat. And that's a very different view, right? Like it's a little, folks, when people come up to me and are very quietly, "Well, I've been coming to church for a while, and just I'm a 12-step person. I'm an alcoholic, or I've struggled with drug addiction or sex addiction or whatever." I always feel like, oh, thank goodness, this is somebody I can really trust. And why is that? Well, it's because they have a sense of commitments that are, as he said, that are born of distress and defeat. And those commitments, those sacrificial commitments, the sacrifice means that we sacrifice to what we want to make sacred, is really where faith starts to come alive. And it will feel deeply lonely. People are incredibly interested in a utilitarian faith, in a faith that gives you things. And again, it's not that faith doesn't certainly, I have found much happiness in faith, and I have found much joy in church and in my connections through this church and connections through things like this. And it's also important to remember there's a bigger picture there too, that happiness, etc. It's not that for the lonely person of faith that happiness is not unknown. It's just happiness becomes a byproduct. It's no longer the primary goal. The primary goal is this deep gravitas, this deep embedding into life, and it's embedding into life in its very present circumstances. It's not way back in the past, it's not way back in the future. It's an embedded life in the challenges, the joys, the heartbreaks, the heart openings of the here and the now. And again, it's just it's we don't always find a lot of people there. And it's not, I think we got to be super careful, right? Like, it's not judging people who aren't there. That's crazy. That's its own racket. Because they probably, in fact, I know they see things that we don't, or that you don't, or that I don't. And that's all as it should be, and it's all in God's hands. It's just some days are lonely. Just that. Just some days are lonely. Easiest way to say it. And when we join in communities like this, these little communities of interest, communities sometimes that get their greatest cohesion through times of challenge, um, through our embedding our very value in God and in community, that we can sort of maybe do a little bit about that loneliness. Maybe the best we can do. This is crazy, right? Maybe the best we can do is just be lonely together some days. Maybe that's just how it works. So that's my thought for today, folks. The lonely person of faith, the surprising loneliness of faith. And yeah, and thank you for just being part of a community that hopefully does a little bit to just add a little balm on that throughout our lives. So, with that, dear friends, what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little meditation. After the meditation, we're going to do after a little meditation, we're going to do a prayer. It's a prayer. We're going to do a blessing. After the blessing, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little hello to folks on our social media platform. So, with that, friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, friends. Let's give a little cheery hello to to those who've joined us today. And by the way, friends, just please do keep Jean in your prayers today. Say a special prayer for her if she undergoes surgery. And again, for any of you folks, like I certainly hope you know this, but I'll say it just to make sure it gets said, is anytime you can call. And we work with people all across the country. Doesn't matter where you are. If you're facing something hard, please let us know. And we'll get on the phone, we'll pray with you, we'll chat with you. You can talk about what's hard, whatever. We certainly will do that for you. So Mary, oh, you guys make me cry already. Holding Jean in prayer and love. Linda as well. Amy, I know you're down there and I know you know her well. Amy, Jean, you were in my prayers this morning. Susan writes, good morning, and good morning to you, Sue. Carolyn, good morning to you, my dear friend. Hope you're doing well. Sherry writes, thinking of Jean this morning. Beautifully said. Marcus, good morning, and a prayer for Jean. Thank you for saying that. Martha, child, so great to see you joining us this morning as well. Marilee, good morning to this lovely community. Amen to that. So true. Kim says a good morning to everyone. Totally agree with that. Good morning, everyone. Linda, yeah, have a good weekend. And that's what we really do. We really do wish everyone a great weekend and wish them all the very best. And hello to others who are watching. I see someone's got little notifications. A little hello to Shannon out there in Texas joining us this morning. So regardless of what time of day you are joining us or the day of the week you are joining us, just so glad you're here. And so glad you joined us because it's the weekend. Just a quick invite. We're going to start up our Easter series this week, and this Sunday we're looking at a prayer in the dark, which I was kind of thinking, like, I think it's probably the only place we really pray is when it's darkest out. So anyhow, like, think about joining us for that, folks. It's going to be a very powerful service as we get into our Easter series. So God bless. Let us know if we can do anything. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.